SummerSlam 2025, a two-night extravaganza, also known as Hot WrestleMania, is happening this weekend. So put your nerd hats on, wear your geek glasses. It's time to predict the thing. And we actually have cards, which is very nice for night 1 and night 2. I don't think we had it this soon to WrestleMania. Though now I say that we must have done. It doesn't matter. That was in the past. But we start with Saturday night, where we are indeed getting Jade Cargill versus Tiffany Stratton for the WWE Women's Championship. I always get that wrong. This one is not as cut and dry as I once thought it was, although there is actually a caveat, which is going to actually enforce my decision here. But I thought this would be the night that Naomi cashed in her Money in the Bank briefcase. We did that Evolution, and we put Naomi on Raw. In hindsight, a really good idea to do, especially because now there was a rumor the other day that Stephanie Vicaire is going to get a big push. I think she may beat Naomi for that title in Paris, but we will wait and see. But yes, that's not going to happen, obviously. And I think WWE made the right call there, which is another reason why I'm going for Jade Cargill, because going back to the rumor mill, I'm going complete with speculation here. Jade Cargill apparently was meant to win at WrestleMania when she got injured and they changed the plans and they moved people in different directions. The only outlier I can see is if Bianca Belair is good to come back, does she get involved in this? It doesn't really make any sense because Jade and her are kind of friends, kind of not. But if you did want to turn Bianca Belair heel, which somebody mentioned, which I think is a daft idea because I think she's such a quintessential babyface and she's coming back from an injury, but she was getting booed around WrestleMania time, so maybe the conversation was had. You could have her screw over Jade. But I just think it makes much more sense for Jade to win and then Bianca Belair to return, and then you can do something with all these three women, which WWE does like to do. They're doing it on Raw. They often copy and paste and do it over a SmackDown as well. I don't know what you do coming out the other side, because the interesting thing about both characters is I'd probably say Tiffany gets bigger cheers than Jade, and there's probably maybe a much of a muchness there. But she still acts like a heel. Like a lot of her promos are very, well, insulting. She kind of talks down to people and she makes it work. So you can't argue with that. Whereas because Jade Cargill is such a badass, she walks that tightrope too. So do we need Bianca Belair in all of this as a super duper mega babyface, which she can play? I do not know. It's going to be interesting, but I think given that it is Hot WrestleMania and WWE is going to want to justify doing 2 night SummerSlam and 2 night Survivor Series and 2 nights Royal Rumble, I will say this as a complete tangent. I don't like the idea anymore of 2 nights anything that's not WrestleMania. This is too much for me. Given the amount of pay-per-views we've had recently, I'd be so much more hyped if it was just SmackDown. It was just Saturday night for SmackDown, for SummerSlam. And the same with the Royal Rumble. I get it makes more sense with the Royal Rumble, which arguably, according to viewing numbers at the moment, is the number 1 pay-per-view for WWE. I still don't want them to do it. Sometimes I want it all encapsulated on one evening. That's neither here nor there. Jade Cargill will win. She will beat Tiffany Stratton. And let's hope she does it clean. I don't need shenanigans in this match. I can have 2 people that are relatively young in the business having a big old fight. One wins, one loses. You carry on the program, probably do a rematch in Paris. You could have the other one win, hot potato the title. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily do that. But they're competitors, and sometimes somebody has to lose. You should tie it into the story. We do not need distractions, interference, and confusion, but I'm going with Jade. If that's what we're going to do at WrestleMania, do it now. Again, it's a title change. That kind of does make an event feel like a big deal, whether that's right or not. It's just the feelings that we do have. I'm doing it. I'm going with her. Now, we may be getting Randy Orton and Jelly Roll versus Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. But apparently the video that Drew put out yesterday, if you haven't seen it, he is trapped in the UK. Because he basically travelled back to the UK with his UK passport. And of course, that does allow you to get back into America as well. Well, I don't have an American passport. I have a visa. But when I go to America, I get it with my UK passport. I presume that Drew thought he was going to do that. Of course, he has an American one as well. And for whatever reason, they didn't let him in. His wife got in, and Drew is now back in the United Kingdom. He has said he may not get to SummerSlam. And that is true, because I know someone this happened to. Again, they're not Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, in terms of notability, is up here. I guess my friend was just an ordinary guy, which sounds terrible, but you know what I mean. He had to wait 2 to 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks, before he was even allowed to try again, for whatever reason. I don't understand it. And that means Drew would miss SummerSlam, which would be awful, but hopefully WWE can sort it out, because they are a massive entity. I think if you put this in the right position, I will enjoy it, right? I don't think it should kick things off. It certainly shouldn't main event, but we know that's not going to happen. But Jelly Roll, I thought for his experience, looked very good on SmackDown. Like someone said, oh, he moves so weirdly. He's brand new, bro. Nobody should actually be having their debut on SummerSlam, but he's Jelly Roll, which is a wonderful sentence. And Logan Paul knows what he's doing. We've talked about Logan Paul till the cows come home. And Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton are sort of like GOAT levels. They're all-time performers. My thing with this is I don't think Logan Paul will be involved. I don't think we're going to do a Logan Paul-Randy Orton feud, because we kind of did that at WrestleMania last year, whenever it was. I don't think we need to go back to that. We've kind of ticked that box. So the past part to all of this has to be Randy and Drew, and Randy did beat Drew on that episode of SmackDown, was it, with his kicked off? I think it was. Or was that Saturday Night's main event? It was Saturday Night's main event, excuse me. I don't know. There's something brewing here. I don't know what it is, especially because coming out of SummerSlam, I expect the Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes program, and maybe it's because Drew McIntyre does something. Maybe we're going to do some three-way nonsense, as we've talked about. But given that it is a WrestleMania celebrity type of event, do I think that Randy and Jelly Roll are going to win? Because the thing is, Jelly Roll is going away. And usually with this thing, I would bet on Jelly Roll, right? But Jelly Roll is one of these new celebrities that is awesome, like Bad Bunny, who loves wrestling so much, I think he'll be fine losing. He's not going in there as, I've been paid $25 million, whatever that made-up fee for Floyd Mayweather was, and therefore I need to be protected at all costs because I'm thinking about my reputation, I suppose, outside of wrestling, which is illogical, I know, but that's the way some people think. I think Jelly Roll has kind of gone, no, I love wrestling, I understand how it works, I'll lose, that'll be awesome, and I do think that would be pretty cool. Listen, if Logan Paul is hanging around, which he is, even if it's on a part-time basis, him getting a pin over Jelly Roll is just going to allow him to be an even bigger dick than he already is. Now, you can argue he doesn't need to be a bigger dick, but hey, the option is there. So that's what I think will happen. I think we will pin Jelly Roll, which again, I just love this sentence. And I do think that would be an interesting new dawn for WWE. I don't think Bad Bunny did get beat, did he? He beat Damian Priest in that street fight. I believe that's true. I'm getting confused now. Too much wrestling has happened since then for me to store it in my brain. But I like to make bold predictions, and it's not really a bold prediction. Could anybody win this? Nobody would actually mind. I think Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul will win, because if we're going to get title changes, and we are, you are giving crowd feel-good moments. So here you can take Jelly Roll and he can lose. And also, because wrestling is so flubbed up these days, it will get Jelly Roll more respect. He will be more over for losing than unless you come up with a superb finish. But wrestling fans will be like, man, I respect you, Jelly Roll. Thank you so much for understanding the business. That's why 2025 is so dumb. So flub it. I'm going with Drew and Logan Paul, or maybe Chavo Guerrero and Logan Paul. I'm just trying to think of someone that works for WWE that can still go. If Drew McIntyre can't make it, who would take his place? There's probably an obvious person I'm not thinking of right now. Who could fit in there? There's a good LA Knight. No, he's a babyface. We need a heel. Who is missing? There's somebody else that's missing that's a heel, and we could put him in there. I can't remember. Drop me a comment. Let me know who you think it could be. Do you just cancel the match? Do you do a handicap match? You could probably get away with that because Logan Paul's a penis. I don't know. I don't know who that could possibly be. That would be really, really, really weird. I'm going with the heels, and Jelly Roll will take the pin, and then you're protecting Randy Orton, which I think is also important. And it would be one of those things where you're like, well, we just did that, and we'll get the Black Hole Slam, or as Joe Tessitore, I believe, called it, the Black Hole Bossman Slam. Don't hate it. Good name. We are also getting the Judgment Day, I guess we can call them, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez taking on Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Genuinely, one of my most anticipated matches. I've seen some people now hating on this because, again, you have to give everything 3 weeks before we start hating on something. I love Charlotte and Alexa together as a team. Apparently, the idea was to break them up after a few weeks. I'm super duper happy we're carrying this on. Raquel and Roxy have great chemistry because one is massive. It's the same team, I've just realized. One is massive, one is not. One is massive, one is not. But it works. It creates a synergy between them. I think the main reason to do a title change here is because, not that it necessarily needs it, because I think we've already made it back there, but it will breathe some fresh life into these tag team titles, and you can carry this on, and you can add in the Kabuki Warriors. Raquel and Roxanne don't need to be doing anything else. They should focus on these championships. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte have proven absolutely this should be their focus for a while. And Oscar and Kairi Sane even said, oh my gosh, maybe we'll go for the tag championships. And Io's going like, yeah, you're going to do it. They're like, yeah, Io, you're going to win your belt back. It's like, what? Loving. This is ridiculous. So I know that's kind of similar to what we did at Evolution, but I don't know. I just think you could shine a bigger spotlight on it. I would do a title change here. I think it's going to be quite a title change heavy SummerSlam, which I don't have a problem with because, again, you're establishing as a big show, which WWE wants to do. Charlotte and Alexa should win. They then get rid of that Allies of Convenience t-shirt. Sorry, if you bought it, you're going to be screwed over. Or you have a bit of a memento there or a collectible, and then these two can feud. Let's make these belts mean something. Let's ensure they don't vanish into the abyss again like they did after WrestleMania. Of course, Liv Morgan will be back, but that's months away, so we don't have to worry about that. I just think this ticks a lot of the boxes. I'm very, very excited about it. I think they have even if it's just a passable match, that's fine, because I like everybody in it, so I'll enjoy their content. But I think Charlotte and Alexa will win. And then, yes, probably towards the end of the year, they'll fall out. They won't be able to coexist, but then they can have the feud. And by that point, I'll care more, because we didn't just do it for 3 weeks like, oh, I hate you, Alexa. Oh, I hate you, Charlotte. Oh, we fell out. We had a fight. Let's come up with some cool promo bits where they fall in love. And you're like, oh my gosh, they care about each other so much. And then I wouldn't mind Alexa being the person to turn on Charlotte, to be honest. Remember when it was Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax pre-pandemic? And somehow, even though Nia Jax was a much bigger person, she was the sympathetic one because Alexa Bliss was doing all-time heel work. I would do that here as well. Let's try and lean into the opposite of what we usually do. We have enough wrestling tropes in 2025, but do the title change. I think that'll be good for the tag team division, and it's just going to be fun. I will be genuinely surprised. I'm not saying it's going to be the best match ever, but I would be genuinely surprised if I'm not entertained by this because I like the teams, and I like the story, and that's all wrestling ever needs to be. Amazingly, we're also getting Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross. And I guess we did get an angle for it on television because Karrion Kross hit Sami Zayn with a pipe. But I thought there would be a promo off or a strange, spooky Karrion Kross in the background going, Sami Zayn, you must tell me the truth, otherwise I'll rip off your beard and post it in the mailbox or whatever. But no, it just popped up on, I don't know where it came from, a social media. Maybe they mentioned it on SmackDown. I like the fact this match is on SummerSlam. So far, I've been very intrigued by Karrion Kross matches because he works at methodical pace. He feels a bit old school, feels a bit weird. And I mean that as a compliment. And Sami Zayn may be the greatest babyface ever in terms of being an underdog and fighting from underneath. I don't think Sami Zayn is going to lose. I think this will be the blow-off. There's rumours that Karrion Kross and Scarlett haven't been offered a new contract, and that's next month. That's August. Bit worrying. I hope I'm just being worked there. Nothing wrong with that. But Sami Zayn has to win. He is the babyface that is just higher on the card. That's just the way it is. I hope we do use this as a stepping off point for Karrion Kross so that we can actually turn him into something and allow him to do more on television apart from some skits. What does he want Sami Zayn to say? You don't want that to kind of fall away in the ether as well. But it may be one of those storylines that WWE does, like the lockbox. We just move it to one side and we'll never talk about it again. What has Sami Zayn done when he's done with Karrion Kross? I presume puts himself in the world title picture, which we'll talk about in just 1 second. 2 matches to go before we get there. But Sami Zayn will win. I don't think Karrion Kross has to win. I think this will be very stereotypical wrestling. Babyface wins. They're 1-1. Karrion will try and use the pipe. Scarlett will be casting distraction, but Sami Zayn manages to overcome the odds. You can have this match quite quick, which I don't mean disparagingly, but it will break up the card. Because the moment we have 6 matches night 1 and 5 matches night 2, I think more will be added. It wouldn't surprise me to have 7 and 7. But not everything needs to be 10, 15 minutes or 15-minute, 20 minutes. You know, save that for the bigger matches, for lack of a better. Not the bigger matches, the matches that need it, right? If that's what the story dictates. I don't think this one needs to do that. I think you can get more worth out of being interesting, which again, Karrion Kross is. And Sami Zayn, even for all the plaudits he does get, is still underrated in many ways. I always look back to that Jackass match, which not many wrestlers would have been able to pull off with a bunch of people that weren't real wrestlers, so he's one of a kind. But he should win. I don't think there's any worth in Karrion Kross winning. But let's give Karrion Kross some promo times. Let's give him a new deal, if that is legit that he hasn't signed one. And let's just roll with what people are liking. Like some people go, I don't like Karrion Kross. Well, it's not for you then, so don't watch him. But there is a groundswell of support, and those are the people that we should be delivering Karrion Kross to. You have like 79 hours worth of television or other television where you will have stuff that you like, and it's not going to be that high anyway. But people like Kross, and again, that's all wrestling is. We like you. What are you going to do? So he can move on from Sami Zayn, just into another feud. I don't know who the hell either of them would feud with after this. I think Sami Zayn may go into the main event picture, which also actually ties into our Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso taking on Solo Sikoa. No, not true at all. Taking on Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. This one is pretty cut and dried to me. You could pin Jey Uso. I think I said Jimmy's because of the bloodline stuff I'm getting confused with. But I don't think they will because Jey Uso is still a super mega star. Essentially, the way this works in our wrestling hierarchy is Roman Reigns is the face that runs the place. Jey Uso is, I wouldn't say right beneath him, but he's certainly a solid main eventer. Bron Breakker is the guy trying to smash down that door, and WWE is happy for him to do it. Whereas, very sadly, Bronson Reed right now, and I don't mean this in a horrible way, but he's the guy that can take a pin, and it doesn't matter because he's Bronson Reed. He can smash somebody on Raw, and everyone's going to go, oh my gosh. I do hope we put him in an IC position or a US title position eventually, because Bronson Reed is actually better than WWE has used him. I like the fact he's in this group, but I don't want to say he's been marginalised, but he has sometimes quite literally been hanging out in the background. But he can take a pin here from Roman Reigns, and it's not going to make any difference to the Seth Rollins story or anything else. And I think we have to just tie this in to Gunther versus CM Punk, because if we do the Seth Rollins thing, which if you don't know is Seth Rollins was injured, but then we worked for Saturday Night's main event, in order to make you think he's going to be away for a while. Then he comes in here and either makes this a triple threat match towards the end like he did at Mania 31, or CM Punk wins and he stomps him to become the champion. Well, then Sami Zayn is going to want to go after him. Roman Reigns is going to want to go after him. Jey Uso is probably going to want to get after him. That helps Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. It's the opposite. They want to protect him. They're his boys. So it's an interesting thing to do, which of course brings us to Gunther versus CM Punk for the World Championship. Roman and Jey are going to win. I just don't think you have Roman Reigns on a losing team, even if he's not the guy that takes the pin after being away for a few months. CM Punk versus Gunther is super interesting. Gunther only just won that title back. Are we going to not really hot potatoing, but are we going to do a relatively short title change? I'm a fan of those when done right, because I think it makes it exciting, especially because Roman held it for a millennium. So you don't want to go back to that. But do you want Gunther to lose, just in general? He's so good. This is why I think it probably makes more sense for Seth Rollins to cash in beforehand. But the emotion, especially if you're going to build extra for the CM Punk Seth Rollins stuff and maybe shove a Roman Reigns or a Sami Zayn in there, is with CM Punk winning, much like Drew did at WrestleMania 40. He wins, and then there's shenanigans, and maybe Gunther takes him out, and that's when here comes Seth. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it, but we kind of believe it because it got leaked because somebody revealed the information. Curb stomp 1, 2, 3. And he could probably take out Gunther too. I think you can move Gunther into a tweener position, absolutely, because people aren't going to boo him necessarily. Well, they probably will against Punk, to be fair. What do I prefer? I prefer the triple threat match, then we protect Gunther. He can still stomp Punk, I guess. But then CM Punk winning the champion, I think CM Punk will win. WWE loves moments, and it's something they would have done at WrestleMania just to go, woo, woo, woo. I don't think they would have done it at WrestleMania. There's only one night, but there's not, and there's 2 nights here as well. And given this is going down on night 1, I think you get the curb stomp, you get the CM Punk win, then the curb stomp, Seth Rollins coming in. It's an amazing way to end. And while there will be no fallout on night 2, sometimes our brains are funny, and we better watch, because we may get some fallout to this or get the entire picture. And also, it's much more fun to have crazy predictions. So yes, CM Punk wins. He beats Gunther, which is massive, and then Seth Rollins has been tricking us the whole time. I've seen this conversation a lot. Oh, Seth Rollins shouldn't do it now because this information is out there. No, man. If you believe in this story to such a degree, and SummerSlam was always the end point, stick to your stories. It's not 100% of wrestling fans know you're going to do this, so you will get a big old pop in the stadium especially. And the alternative is doing it on Raw. What difference is that? It's 24 hours. You don't have to overly worry about a surprise. Some people are still going to be surprised, right? Us nerds know what's going on, but other people who are probably nerds too, they have absolutely no idea. So CM Punk wins, beats Gunther, maybe with a little bit of, oh my gosh, we need to look into that, like an exposed turnbuckle or something. And then Gunther could kick his ass. Either way, they're both spent. Here comes CM Punk. What is wrong with me? Here comes Seth Rollins. 1, 2, 3 on Punk. Has to be on Punk. That's super important. And then we can move into Punk versus Seth Rollins in a world title feud. And also, if you actually go back through their singles matches, CM Punk, obviously being the babyface, has won a lot of them, as he should have done, but now it's Seth's revenge. It's like Empire Strikes Back, and then Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn, which was the point I was going to make a second ago, work into it. I think it'll be good. It will be the main event. CM Punk will be the champion for about 7 seconds. Which brings us on to night 2, and the IC title's on the line. Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles. I think we should do a title change for no other reason that I don't think the IC Championship has been particularly well booked coming out of WrestleMania. Love Dominic Mysterio. That AAA thing he did the other day was awesome. Getting Stone Cold Steve Austin pops. But the belt itself has stagnated. That's only because he defended against Shapes, right? Pentagon, then Octagon. And he didn't do much else with it because he was also needed in the women's tag stuff with Liv Morgan. Totally understand it. But AJ Styles, being AJ Styles, can win the IC title and people are going to be happy with that. Has he won it before? If he hasn't won it before, he should win it. AJ Styles should win all the titles he's never won before he retires. But the good part there is this then becomes a feud. You can do the match again whenever the flub you want, maybe even sort of stretch it out a little bit. Of course, Dominic Mysterio can win it back. And when it is back on Don Dom, then you start throwing challenges at him and don't have these massive... what's the word I'm looking for? Gaps where he does nothing with it, because that's when Gunther had his 666-day reign. The reason that was awesome is he'd take on anybody and he'd chop them half to death, and sometimes he'd cheat a little bit too. Got that amazing match with Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. That may even before his run now. I can't imagine it was. But that's what I would do. Then you inject a little bit of life into it. Everybody will be happy for AJ Styles. I know it's a bit weird for the babyface to win and then you have a rematch with the heel, but you can get away with it with Dominic because most people like him anyway. And he's doing great work regardless. And this probably gives him a little bit beef for Raw and yelling about this and yelling about that. And it's a great moment for AJ Styles. And I think AJ Styles is awesome. I think it's going to be really good. I'm very, very excited about it. I know I'm changing a lot of titles on this show, but again, I think WWE is going to do that deliberately. So it does feel like an over-the-top WrestleMania. And then very sadly, when we get to 2027, we will have another two-night event and we'll all cry into our faces. I'm going with AJ Styles. Not 100% on that one. I think it's a little bit of a bold prediction. That's what we are all about. But but AJ Styles is about to become the Intercontinental Champion, and at least it means he stopped stalking Dom. And yes, I'm carrying that on because I'm going full Britney Spears because whoops, I did it again. Still cage match, US Championship. I think Jacob for 2 will win. Now, I've changed all the belts so far. Nobody is retaining. But you can do that. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't do that as long as it pertains to the story you're trying to tell. And Jacob for 2 can win it back. Then when it's still cage, it means the MFTs aren't going to be able to get in unless Tamatonga's back and he comes out from the bottom of the ring, which I think could happen. Now, I think Solo Sikoa could retain because he's only held it for like 4 weeks. But I just think the WWE are so behind Jacob. I just think this was a way to introduce Tamatonga, re-establish the Bloodpoint 3.0, if we want to call them that, and also show that Jacob for 2 is a crazy man because, of course, he's been absolutely nuts, especially on SmackDown when he cut that wild promo going, walk you like a dog, and then the Epic Teams come out and they screw him over with The Miz, kind of, but then Jacob for 2 wins anyway. I just don't think WWE, even with a bunch of run-ins, which still could happen even though there's a steel cage, would have Jacob for 2 lose again. I don't think they want to do that. And they're probably right as well. The dude is going to be a WrestleMania main eventer. That's how good he is. Let them have an amazing steel cage match. Let Solo Sikoa cheat till the cows come home. We all know Solo Sikoa is the real best wrestler of 2025 because he's so entertaining. Jacob for 2 wins. I mean, I guess you could have Solo Sikoa walk out the cage door. I forgot they do that. Oh, man. That could happen. I'm not worried about that. Don't know why I'm getting upset about it. I still think Jacob for 2 will win. But now there's a 2% part of my brain that thinks actually maybe Solo Sikoa walks out the door because, beat Jacob for 2. It means nothing, right? It means nothing. And then Solo can say something horrible like, I got out of jail and you were never able to get out of jail, even though he's out of jail. I'm going Jacob for 2. Let's change all the titles. Let's go totally crazy. And also, it's a great jumping off point for Jacob. It just goes up and up and up and up. Who would I like him to have a proper feud with after this? Probably a Damian Priest, I think, would be good. Although that is sort of, maybe Aleister Black. Well, he's kind of a babyface too. It's interesting. We probably need more heels. I'm going Jacob. Becky Lynch versus Laria Valkyria for the Women's IC Championship. I think this will rule. And once again, I think this is a championship change as well. I've just realised I forgot about this one. Now I'm worried about some of my changes as I look to see, is there going to be a change there? There probably is not. So that is good. One match without a title change. Nobody should ever put me in charge of professional wrestling. I just think, Bayley's not on SummerSlam. You know what? I take it back. I think Becky Lynch is going to win. I think that's a wonderful swerve. Bayley came out after SmackDown and the cameras are off air, so it could be lols, joke. And she was like, why am I not on SummerSlam? Which is a great point. Bayley only just came back and she's not on SummerSlam. Why does WWE always do this as I shake my fist? Shake harder, boy. But then you go back to the Lyra Bayley feud. I want to see the Bayley Becky feud, but Bayley did act as a massive heel, like a fake babyface in that tag team title match she had with Lyra. She has to get involved here. If she doesn't get involved here, it's like the Travis Scott thing, who is now totally flubbed up WrestleMania 41. But I couldn't understand why he didn't come out at Backlash. He didn't come out in Light Champion. You just come out at WrestleMania, you weirdo. That doesn't make any sense. You're friends with John Cena or not. Bayley would be doing the same here, and Bayley definitely hasn't fallen out with WWE, so you can do it. I think that's more fun. I actually think that then Laria can never challenge for the IC title again against Becky Lynch, but then she could beat Bayley for it. That's what we should do, right? This is long-term storytelling. There's no rush with this. These three are great together, and they have built that IC championship to the point the US championship on SmackDown looks like it's booked by a totally different company. That Julia, Kiana James, Zelina Vega thing on SmackDown were the weirdest things I've seen in a while. Good for them, but my gosh, it came out of nowhere. So I think Bayley interferes here. That totally screws Lyra, because Lyra now can't take the IC belt off Becky because of the stipulations, and then Bayley somehow beats Becky for it, which is going to be interesting. That's kind of like heels versus heels, but that's okay. Maybe Bayley is actually a babyface. We haven't actually confirmed a turn yet. That then maybe at Survivor Series does lead to a Lyra versus Bayley, and it's Bayley who loses the championship back to Lyra, and that's how we get it on Lyra and use this stipulation, and then it's all negated anyway, so if you want to keep Becky Lynch in the IC Championship program, which we probably won't, but you could do, and that's like a good 6 months worth of stories, and it's awesome, and it's more fun. And you know they can pull it off, because they're fantastic. Everything they've done has elevated Lyra, it's elevated the belt, it's re-established Becky Lynch, and put Bayley in a very odd position, but I find her compelling, so there's nothing wrong with that. So again, we're going with stupid predictions. If you want a normal prediction, you have a million videos for that. I think Becky Lynch is winning, and that's awesome, because now I haven't changed every title on SummerSlam, which I shouldn't have done. It was an accident, I'm sorry. Becky Lynch is going to win, and Lyra's going to be totally boned. We also get the WWE Women's Championship match. I think I've got that right for once, of Naomi versus Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky. And yes, I hinted at it earlier. I think Naomi's going to retain, just because in Paris, do you want to do Rhea Ripley versus Stephanie Vicaire, mega babyface versus mega babyface? No. It's the same for Io Sky, whereas Naomi is the heel, right? She's the ultimate heel in the women's division right now, you could argue. She can take on Stephanie Vicaire in Paris embarrass and maybe even lose, which would be a very interesting conversation. This will be awesome. Again, all we're doing is we're replacing Naomi with Bianca Belair from WrestleMania. That is one of the best matches, not the best match of the year. Naomi is super talented and does not get the due that she is deserved. I think it will be different because she can cheat a bit more and be a much more bigger asshole, but that's good. You don't want it to be exactly like the Night 2 WrestleMania opener. You want this to be different. This could open Night 2 on the Sunday that, of course, we're talking about right now. It's going to be great. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky have great chemistry. Naomi's the most fun character of the year, or at least top 2, top 3, if we were going to sit down and talk about it. And she should not cheat to win, but do something dastardly and horrible. And you're like, oh, I can't believe you did that. You're so exhausting, especially when you've got Rhea Ripley and Io Sky just killing each other. So we kind of tie it into Evolution. Same kind of a deal. She comes out, makes it a triple threat, doesn't care, just wants to win this championship. I think it's going to be hard-hitting. I think it's going to be entertaining. I think it could potentially steal the show too, because that's how good they are. And I love the fact we're getting Becky, Laria, and this match on the same show. I think you're going to get a totally different approach to wrestling, but they're going to absolutely kill it, absolutely burn it down, and it's going to remind you that women's wrestling is on fire right now. But Naomi retains, mostly because she has to retain, because they've done way too many title changes. But it's just not the right time either, especially with Paris a few weeks ago. You want a mega heel against your mega babyface, and French and European crowds are so crazy. They'll be so behind Stephanie Vaquette in like a vicious way. It'll be so loud, which means they may cheer Naomi too, because we do like to do that. Either way, it will work. Naomi should win, and if she is going to lose the title in such a short period of time, she needs a big win on a big stage. SummerSlam is arguably the second biggest stage. Naomi wins, and Rhea Ripley and Io Sky will still be awesome, because they're just really awesome competitors. Which leads us to the street fight, WWE title on the line, John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. I can't change my thinking now. We've been saying this for months, basically. John Cena will lose. Cody Rhodes will win. He will finally use that championship. He'll probably kick John Cena right in the balls, which is one reason why we are doing this street fight. It means he has his revenge from WrestleMania. We don't have to worry about that anymore. Travis Scott won't take 79 years to get to the ring. Word is, in some universes, he's still trying to get there. So he hasn't even fallen out with WWE yet, because they haven't got to that part of the timeline. After this, John Cena will cut a big old babyface promo. I think that's what we were teasing on SmackDown with Cody, and John Cena will do it on whatever SmackDown he's on next. Cody Rhodes is doing his round 2 as WWE champion. No problem with that. He will then go into a feud with Randy Orton, and maybe by the end of next year, he's turned heel. I don't know. I don't think you need to turn him heel right now. He should whoop John Cena's ass. It should be very Stone Cold Steve Austin, but Cody should still obviously be a good guy. And by the end of it, John Cena should still be the bad guy, but you've seen through the cracks, right? Maybe he goes to use the title and he stops doing it and he cries and he gives a kid a hug. All those old school John Cena things. Even though we have a street fight attached, which means we'll get bells and whistles. Once again, you don't need to overthink it. It's such an easy match to book. And they can probably have a bit more fun than they did at WrestleMania 41 because they'll have plunder and they'll have weapons. John Cena hesitates. No, Cody doesn't, as he said he was never going to do again. Maybe he gets a bit of booze, but he'll be fine. People love Cody Rhodes. I don't understand. People can't be watching the TV to think that it's the right time to turn him heel. And then, yeah, he's a 2-time world champion, and that will be awesome. That is huge, because arguably sometimes your first run is you establishing yourself at that level, and the next one is when you get sort of deep into the deep. It's a stupid thing, into the nitty-gritty, in order to prove people, okay, I'm going to make a legacy for myself now. I think it'd be really, really fun. I think John Cena will be more than fine. See a lot of people taking shots at John Cena these days. I think he knows what he's doing, even if he has lost a step, to use his words. And Cody Rhodes will walk away as a champion. And by 10 to 14 days, John Cena will be a babyface again. Probably feuding with Logan Paul, because if you want John Cena to be cheered properly, you put him against Logan Paul. And he should whip Logan Cole's ass. But Cody Rhodes will be the champion. Looking forward to SummerSlam. There's some great matches there. Some people said night 1 and night 2 aren't balanced, but I'm going to watch them all. So what the flow do I care? Makes no difference to me. What does is what you think about all this. Drop me a comment below. Tell me all your predictions. I keep an eye on them. And if you can come up with one that's rounded in reality, but it's nuts, you should put it in there, because you could be right and you win the prize of love. Also, like the video, share the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, video on the screen, bam, click that for all my thoughts on SmackDown. Otherwise, patreon.com/Simon316 for watch-alongs and a whole bunch of other crap. I should call it that. Grillermind.com/Simon. Use code Simon to get 10% off ships worldwide too. I pimp these out because I love them. Simon316 on all social media. Simon on Cameo for personalized videos. Simon J. Miller to follow me on TikTok, and ProWrestlingTees.com/Simon Miller, and Simon at BigCartel.com for merchandise. And I'm losing my voice because I had a progress match yesterday, which will also be on the Patreon soon. Anytime I get a video nowadays, sometimes I can't put it live because of course they want to use their own streaming services, but for the audience on Patreon we can. So we'll sit down and we'll go through that. That's why I've got this black eye. I think it's this one. You may not be able to see it, but I'll do my best. But that's why wrestling's cool, man, because sometimes it becomes real. Have a great day. Have a great week. Get pumped for SummerSlam. Otherwise, what is the point? Talk to you soon.